Okay, good morning. This week we are back on the farm, and before we start though, I just want to mention, I did say earlier on in the month I wanted to hit the 2,000 subscribers mark by the end of March. That is tomorrow, guys. I need your help. We need 131 more subscribers. There's a lot of you guys watching our vids that are not yet subscribed, so please help us out. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and that'll notify you every Sunday morning of 8:30 our video release. Now then, onto the farm. We've had a big week this week. It has been particularly grueling because it has been TB testing. And I don't know about you guys, but it's one of my most hated weeks on the farm. You spend the entire week panicking. You're absolutely physically shattered because you are pushing all of your cattle through the crush, not just once, but twice. You've got to do it again at the back end of the week. And the whole time you panic to death that you're going to come down with TB. So it's not a nice week to have, but ultimately we have done it now. We are TB clear, which is fantastic. Now, every single time that we TB test, I say the same thing. Our infrastructure is not quite right, but it is getting better. Obviously, we've gone from doing it here, back in the old days with that old crush out in the field, and now we have the fancy new crush. We have a better race and setup system that we take everywhere we go. But ultimately, we still have cattle here on our farm. We have it in the rented 2 other places or sheds at the minute, which we've got to take all of that kit to and set up and do each time we're doing them numbers. Now, we've done really well. There was a handful of us on day 1, which was the bigger day, but ultimately it's still very time consuming, and I still want to get that big handling facility here. But we are working on that, and I'll show you some of that of what we're planning next week's video probably. But the system has got far better for us, but it is still really physically demanding. But numbers wise, I think there was 220 that effectively we've got to get through in the day. So it's a big day for everybody involved. But as much as it's been a physically demanding week, it has come with some injuries as well. Unfortunately, Clayton had his leg smashed to pieces. A cow come through the crush, kicked the door. As it kicked the door flung round and broke Clayton's leg. I think it's mainly because he's got tiny calves and didn't do leg day, but by the by. But unfortunately, Ryan, he was the one that took the biggest hit. I was behind the crush, so I didn't actually see it happen. He was there one minute, I could see him, the next minute he wasn't. We didn't unfortunately get it on camera, but we have got a clip very similar from a film called Romeo Must Die, and that explains exactly what happened to Ryan on that day. It does boil back down to the fact that our setup here on the farm is not yet ideal, and it is very much a dangerous game, especially when you're TB testing cattle, because you've got to run them the second time they're running through the race and the crush. They know exactly what you're going to do, or they think they do. So ultimately that makes it hard work. So I'm desperate to get this next part of the farm set up and the infrastructure right, so that we've got this far better handling facility, that we don't have to get as close quarter with the cattle as what we are presently doing. A couple of other little bits that we've done while we're here. We PD'd some of the stuff to make sure that both Sam and Udo, or Bert, funnily enough we've started calling him Udo all the time now that we renamed him as Bert, to check that they were working. They are. Everything that we put to the bull effectively is, or the majority of which is in calf, so that's good. And the other bit that we've done is we've had a little bit of a dehorning session of some bigger cows. I bought 2 Herefords that had got horns on, and there was 1 horn on a limmy that we wanted to take off the one side. So we've done that. That's not a nice job, and again physically demanding and grueling, but it's done. And on the farm, on the cattle front, that is pretty much it. Earlier on in the year though, when we went to YAMS, if you remember, I mentioned there was something that you may have seen at YAMS Show that was coming to the farm. Well, that's now here. Okay, so here we have our load-all bucket. Now, you won't have seen this, obviously, at the YAMS Show, but what you will have seen in a minute is our solution to the problem that we've got with the load-all bucket. Now, we have used this load-all bucket for the last 5 years. We had it brand spanking new. It is what we use to muck out all the buildings, and at the same time is what we use to load all the trailers or the muck spreaders with the muck. Now, that has taken its toll in the last 5 years on the bucket. Now, it's not a tough little construction bucket that you can move stone around with, because they're not big enough to get enough muck in. At the same time, it's not a big grain bucket either. It's the one in between, and that really has meant that we've started having these problems with the stresses and strains of effectively bulldozing that muck in the sheds when you're scraping it out, or bulldozing into the pile it puts that much stress and strain on, it started cracking the bucket. Now the muck hasn't helped, because then the muck gets in the cracks of the bucket and starts rusting it and making it worse. So we have now sort of repaired this bucket twice. We put a new wear strip on the front, and at the same time we put these additional plates in and on the underside to try and strengthen it up. But ultimately the main problem that we've got is we're still using it amongst all the other jobs for mucking out. So what we decided to do was to move away from the bucket and onto a muck grab. That was Mark's solution. That gave me PTSD, it gave me anxiety, stress, everything that you can think of, I was mithered to death about, because the tractor that it sits on, the Massey Ferguson, is what we used for the first 2 years worth of bale carting. So when we come to load the trailers, whilst using that, unfortunately for us, the brakes didn't work and the clutch was that heavy that you got out of it at the end of the day with a left leg like Arnold Schwarzenegger and a right leg like you've never ever seen leg day in the gym at all. I could not bear the thought of mucking anything out using that there muck grab on that there tractor. As much as I like the tractor and we have done a lot of work to it, I still couldn't bear the thought. So at YAMS Show, I had a deal with an agent there for this here Strimec ProAg muck grab. Now you can re-watch the YAMS video, you're not going to find this because the item that I'm on about we bought from the YAMS Show that was on the video will still come later on in the year. But this here muck grab is hopefully going to be a game changer here on the farm for us, because we've not just got the pigs, but obviously we've got a mountain of cattle now on the bank. We're creating a mountain of muck. We're doing more muck spreading on our own land as well, and we're handling it a lot more. This should speed the process up massively, because the idea being is that we've got, unlike a bucket where you bulldoze it all up and then you try to pick it up, everything falls back out, the big grab on the top obviously comes down and grabs everything. So it should make everything a hell of a lot faster in terms of the processes of doing what we do. There are different brands of this, and ultimately when Mark and I were talking, this was the one that Mark wanted, so this is the one that we've got. And the main thing, the dealer at the show did me the exact deal that I was looking for. He did us a really good deal on this and the other item that we'll come to later on in the year. So we're about to see this in action now, because we have just kicked out all of the cows with calf at foot bar 3. We've kept 3 in just to keep an eye on them, but the 37, I think it is, have already gone out to the field now. That's given us a lot more room here now for the cows that are yet to calf. But before we move things around and give everything a little bit more room, we're going to muck the shed out, so you're going to get to see this here in action. Anyway, that's it for On the Farm this week. If you like what you've seen, hit subscribe, ring the bell. Please hit subscribe, actually. Ring the bell, and we will catch you next week and leave you with a beast of an On the Farm montage.
Haven't we made it, my love? Oh, honey, look how we made it this far.